Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and I wanted to talk to you about the possibility of future lockdowns and how they will not be the same as last time. In fact, next time will be very different. And there's some reasons behind that, but there's one reason in particular that I think is going to be our Achilles heel when it comes to any sort of resistance and any kind of pushback regarding tyrannical overreach. And this may be being done by design. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because with the recent news of new pandemics possibly starting to spread and the World Health Organization starting to come out and make statements, it's on a lot of people's minds because the lockdowns were very problematic for us, of course, when it came to our rights, our freedoms, and when it came to our economic posture, because right now the economy is not doing so good. And the lockdowns hurt a lot of people. People are worried about being corralled back in their homes, having their businesses shut down, losing access to their ability to earn an income. But there's a bigger issue this time around, which is why they may be trying to make it happen again. So before we get into it, I want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel. Thanks to them, I can get out here, give you information like this to give you things to consider when it comes to your own preparedness, while also being able to check out and test out really nice gear. So a big thanks to Midway USA. So what the difference is between 2024 and 2020 that's so drastic, which will change the way people react to these current possible measures that would be taken, right, is the fact that everybody's broke. Here in 2024 America, inflation has robbed everybody of a lot of their disposable income. People's bank accounts have been depleted for quite some time. Money doesn't go as far as it used to. In 2019, we were all doing pretty good economically. Your job was probably paying pretty decent compared to the cost of living, depending on where you lived, of course. And people in general were doing all right. The economy looked pretty good, especially on paper. Yeah, we still had a ton of national debt, but on paper and in the markets, things were going well. And then the pandemic happened, and the lockdowns began, and the shutdown occurred, right? Okay, well, what did people do? They went out and they started panic buying. And everybody started clearing out stores, toilet paper and food and all kinds of stuff, right? Okay. But this time around, people don't have that money anymore to go out and panic buy, to go out and stock up before being locked in their home, to fall back on when they lose their job or their business has to close, right? This time around, people can't afford to do any of the same things they did last time. And last time we had stimulus checks and all kinds of stuff happening where people were at least getting by, right? Unemployment had some crazy benefits that people were able to access pretty easily. But we don't have that money anymore. We really didn't in the first place anyway. But things were better then than they are now. And now if new lockdowns were implemented, right? Or if they tried to anyway, let's just say that. Well, are people going to go out and panic buy en masse? Probably not to the same degree. Who can afford to buy a month's worth of toilet paper right now and still have money to spend on all of their other daily necessities, right? And here's where it all starts to come together in the sense of how this can be leveraged against people in the sense of authoritarianism. You implement new lockdowns based on a new pandemic, right? Whatever it is. They're going to try it again at some point. I don't know if this is going to happen right now, but I think that we should at least have this conversation in case it does happen in the future. And when this happens, the majority of people will comply because that was proven the last time around. And most people, even the ones who won't comply, aren't going to have the economic safety net that they had before in 2020. We've been dealt a rough hand over the last 4 years. People are struggling. Savings accounts are depleted. People just don't have the money. So it's going to be a lot harder to get by when your job shuts down and the stores are out of supplies and you don't have what you need to get by for more than a few days. It's going to be a lot harder this time around. And one of the only things that people will think should happen in order to avoid that suffering and in order to bring back some level of order is going to be government assistance. And in that situation, the government knowing that people are having a hard time affording this and can't necessarily afford to be locked in their homes or have their businesses shut down anymore, they're going to have all kinds of lovely programs for you. Things that are going to make all of that pain go away. Here's the money you need. Here's the groceries you need. Here's the forbearance on your mortgage or your business loan or whatever it might be that you need to get by, right? We saw all of that last time with the PPP and everything else. But this time around, everybody's going to need help, especially the people who don't comply. And that's because those people aren't going to get those benefits or those programs without some level of compliance. And now, with the economy in such a difficult situation, and with the average American not having any money for anything extra anymore, or at least not to the degree of suddenly going out and panic buying everything you might need from a pandemic scenario, government's going to dangle that carrot. Say, look, we get it. Last time around, you didn't want to get stuck in the arm. Last time around, you didn't want to shut down your business. Last time around, you didn't want to stay home or wear a mask or social distance. But you can choose to do that again this time. But if you find yourself in a tough position, I mean, we have incentives for doing those things. So, you go out and you get the thing, we'll make sure that you're not going to foreclose on your home. If you shut your business down for the time period that we're saying you need to, we'll make sure that that small business loan is taken care of. Or we'll make sure your employees are still getting a paycheck. By the way, if you stay home and move all your stuff online and social distance and don't have any guests, which we'll be able to tell because, you have smart TV, well, we'll make sure that you have enough money to keep putting food on the table. In fact, we'll even deliver it to your front door. You don't even have to leave at all. Lucky for you, we'll just have a drone drop it right off. But if you're not willing to comply with any of those measures, or you're not willing to, help the greater good by accomplishing, the goals that we have, then that's fine. You're an American. You can be free as you want. But you won't get any of the assistance, and we won't be able to help you, and there is no one else coming to help you either. And when that happens and when that occurs, how many people are going to comply? How many people are going to have to a certain degree? These are considerations you should be making right now. And when it comes to prepping for the next pandemic or the next set of lockdowns, which will be different next time, right? Much different because we're broke. You should start thinking about how you'll get by without having to deal with those mandates and those compliances, rather than just how you're going to survive a pandemic. Because that's what we were shown last time was the actual threat, right? And here we are suffering the consequences of it 4 years later. And look, a lot of things can be said about the last time around when it came to the threat, right? But regardless, now in 2024, most people are worried about how they're going to afford to pay rent next month rather than whether or not they're going to get sick, right? So I wanted to have this conversation because it seems to be in the ethos right now. A lot of people seem to be concerned about future lockdowns, and they're worried about it being a repeat of 2020. But I don't think it's going to be a repeat. I have a pretty strong feeling it's going to be much worse with more freedom of choice, but less freedom of assistance, let's just call it. And you should be considering that as things move forward and progress. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with my sentiment here, if you think that I'm on track when it comes to how it might look next time around, and why having something like that occur in an economic downturn might be the best way to have leverage for those who want the leverage in the first place, right? Gives them a lot to work with, doesn't it? So anything else you need from me at all, go to magicprepper.com. I know times are tough. I've got affiliate links and discount codes there. If there's something you might need regarding preparedness, it could possibly help you out. If not, at the bare minimum, there's a free email list you can sign up for. It's not super active. I don't shove a bunch of spam email into your inbox on a daily basis where I try to sell you stuff from every company on the face of the planet. But occasionally I'll put out a newsletter to give you some ideas about things that are going on, or even just talk about other preparedness related content creators who are doing a good job in the space. So make sure you check that out. And, you know, just prepare the best way you can. But maybe this time it's different, right? Maybe this time it's not about PPE as much as it is how am I going to get by without any interaction from the government? Wait, isn't that what we already do anyway? We'll see. That's going to be it for Magic Prepper.